Hey, I'm Mark Elfenbein.
And I'm Roy White.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Extra Crispy, the podcast. And it's presented by, who is it, my man? Tell him who it's from.
Opulence Media Group. And of course, you can follow them just like you can follow us here on the program at RW3, at IMElf, and at Opulence Media G. Of course, Extra Crispy is brought to you by Opulence Media Group. And we are so excited to be bringing you this podcast. Mark reached out to me. Him and I go way back, work together at a radio station in Dallas, Fort Worth, talking all things sports. And after a few years of hiatus, doing our own thing, we are back together again, and it feels so good, Elf.
Yeah,
To both
it's
see and
fantastic.
hear you.
And the cool thing about it is when you are friends with somebody, you know, people say, well, have you talked to him in so long? I said, no. If you're great friends with somebody, you could not talk to him for months and then pick up the phone the next day and your friend, everything's just normal. And that's the beauty of Roy White and myself. And that's the beauty of us getting together and doing this every week for you. And so here's the most important thing that we want everybody to know. Not only we can have fun and talk sports and lifestyle, and we might cuss a little bit and do the bare ass moment stuff and whatever else you want to do in the world, we're going to be doing it here, but we're going to have fun doing it. And we want you to socially engage with us. Like Roy said, you can follow him on Twitter, RW3.
That's
Is that
correct.
right? I am Elf. And now we've got an Extra Crispy Twitter handle. And boy, do we want you to load that up. Extra Crispy Pod. It's at Extra Crispy Pod. It's that simple. And then we get going every week and we have some fun and we do some stuff. And look, in the world, like in the world today, things happen. It makes things a little interesting every day.
Yeah, what a week it was, Elf. What a week it was, not only in the real world, but in the sports world as well. So that is typically where we will start the show. And I think today that will be no different, Mark Elfenbein, because I hear that there is quite a sports buffet on tap this weekend.
Well, there is. And I'm going to raise a glass. You can raise your little brown glass. Don't you have a
we
little
can,
brown glass?
we can
Look
do
at
that now. They
Ladies
wouldn't
and
let us do
gentlemen,
this in the studio, you know.
That's okay. We're going to raise a toast to everybody out there for an unbelievable 2021. This is just the start. So let's take a little sip.
Mm, mm,
Mm.
mm.
Is that the best water I've ever had in my life?
2 sips for good measure.
There we go. All right. So you know what? Let's get started with what happened this past NFL championship weekend. I mean, we got the championship weekend coming up, but let's kind of take a baby step back in how they got there, because the Packers and the Rams got to play in the Lambeau Field, and it was cold and it was a little windy. And I thought the Rams were going to maybe make it interesting there for a while until Aaron Rodgers decided to tell everybody in the world, look, you keep drafting a quarterback when I need wide receivers, and I'm going to show you who's a badass or not. And he did.
Does he need wide receivers?
I don't think
with what
so.
he's doing in 2020 and into 2021? I mean, I ask in jest, of course. They made a horrible mistake in taking a quarterback in last year's draft. But I have to say, overall, the quality of play on quote-unquote the best football weekend of the year was far from it. Now, the teams that won played up to the expectations that I was hoping for from this weekend. Aaron Rodgers was phenomenal. He took care of business against the Los Angeles Rams. Of course, a much easier task when Aaron Donald is held to about 60 or 70% of what he normally plays. That was essentially a done deal. The more compelling storyline that came out of that game for me is not looking ahead to Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, which we will do here shortly, but it's actually looking at the Rams and their situation going forward. Sean McVay told reporters after the game, when asked whether or not Jared Goff was the team's future, he said, he's the quarterback right now. And I have to say, Elf, when I hear a head coach use that phrase in particular, right now, that doesn't suggest to me that that player is always a plan for the future.
Yeah, the vote of confidence there from McVay, who everybody thinks is the next thing. And he's kind of had his moments. I mean, he was the guy a couple of years ago, and then things kind of slipped a little bit. And everybody thought that Jared Goff was the guy. And I think Jared Goff is a good quarterback, but I tend to kind of agree with his coach there that he might not be the guy. And as much as they might have been banged up a little bit, it's what you do when the games count. And when the game counts, Aaron Rodgers shows up every single time. And Jared Goff may not have been around as long as Aaron Rodgers, but, look, we're instant gratification society now, right? We got to have an ATM. If we're sitting at a red light, that thing's got to go like that. How many times have you stood in front of the microwave oven and let it get to zero?
Oh, I thought you were going to zero. I thought
No,
you were
we
going to
want
ask
it
me how
now.
many times I've looked at my phone since the show began. Because that's the same concept, right?
Yeah.
Instant gratification.
It is. And right now, he's not getting it from Goff. And we're going to see what happens because the quarterback position in the next year in the National Football League, and we're going to probably see things happen in the next week or 2 or 3 and draft time. There's a lot of stuff coming up, but credit the Packers for doing what they had to do. I think I have not really seen Aaron Rodgers that happy running off a field because he knew he was having the next game, the NFC Championship game, at home in Lambeau Field. And the last time that happened, do you remember what happened? That was when Brett Favre lost to the Giants in that, I think it was an overtime game, right?
Wow. Was it that long ago?
Yes. He threw that interception and Eli Manning beat the Packers in Lambeau when, what's his name, Tom Coughlin's face looked like a red tomato because he was freezing his ass off.
Well, that happened 1,000 times over. If
Yeah.
Tom Coughlin was in weather that was under 40 degrees, he looked like a cherry tomato.
Unbelievable. All right, so congrats to the Packers for moving on. The other game was the one that let's stick in the NFC. Let's just go ahead and stay in the NFC.
I'm with
Tampa Bay, New Orleans was the one, I guess that was Sunday night. And we were looking forward to seeing, could Drew Brees do it again against Tom Brady? What did you think how that game turned out?
It was the marquee matchup that we were all waiting for, but I don't think we realized what we were in for until after the game was over and Drew Brees' wife kind of tweeted out the goodbye on social media, where she explained that he played the 2020 season with a punctured lung, a dislocated shoulder, like all sorts of ailments that, not knowing that going into the game had me very excited. But had I known that, I probably wouldn't have felt as good about it and as good about the Saints' chances. Look, Michael Thomas was a shell of himself in that game, playing through plantar fascia, right? That he's going to need surgery on this offseason. So unfortunately, even for a Saints team that slaughtered this Tampa Bay team twice in the regular season, they were not anything close to full strength. And the reason that really pisses me off is because it plays right into the idea of mine that Tom Brady is one of the luckiest men to ever play the game of football. Yes, it's true. He is great, and I will not deny that. But he has also been fortunate to play for almost multiple decades in a division that never had a quarterback better than Josh Allen is now, okay?
Right.
And B, to then go to a team that saw the best competition in his own division at half strength when it really mattered in January.
Couple of things. I agree a lot with what you just said. Every time I want to bet against Brady and talk down against Brady, he steps up and does something. So, but he's got a lot of
makes me hate him more.
Yeah, I know. I listen. I get you. Drew Brees is not Drew Brees anymore, and I think we noticed that. As much as we had heard about it, he can't throw the ball. He can't throw deep. The note that they said in the game when they did the flea flicker to Jameis Winston and he threw the touchdown pass, that was the longest completion of the year, 56 yards. I'm like, holy crap, that's incredible. And then you could just tell Brees couldn't get the ball down the field, and then he had the interceptions. I'll tell you what, though, that dude, is it Devin White for Tampa Bay? That is a badass mother, man. That dude was everywhere. He was picking up fumbles. He had the big interception. He was making tackles. And even on his interception, how about the Derrick Henry type stiff arm where he nearly threw the guy on the ground?
Oh boy.
Very impressive. That was pretty impressive. And again, I don't know if Tampa Bay is that great. I just think that Drew Brees was banged up a little bit, and you could tell him and Thomas just couldn't do it.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, they just got caught at the wrong time, in a dogfight against a team who was highly motivated, right? Already having lost to them twice, highly motivated by the fact that it's win or go home, and highly motivated by the fact that, they kind of had the advantage. And they probably knew that. They probably knew that going into the game, unlike us, laymen, who were not privy to that information up until the game's decided.
So I guess the good news is, if you're a football fan, whether you hate Brady or like Brady, whatever it is, it's quite a delicious matchup. I mean, it's Tampa Bay, Green Bay in Lambeau Field for the NFC Championship. It's going to be cold, and I hope it's snowing like a son of a bitch. And look, Brady. Look, here it is. If you're as great as everybody says you are, and I know you got rings, big deal. Let's see what you can do this time. Mr. Rogers, I think, is showing everybody, look, I'm MVP. I'm going to show you why I'm MVP, and it should be an interesting matchup, to say the least.
Well, one thing I will say about Tom Brady, he's not going to be affected by any type of weather or cold or concerns in that regard. We'll know he'll have his 2 gloves, right? He'll have multiple gloves on both hands to be able to clutch his football and throw his football perfectly. They'll probably deflate him just a little bit, before they get out onto the field, so they're not rock hard. That's just a Tom Brady thing. That's not a Patriots thing. But either way, yes, we are in for what I think of as a generational quarterback matchup. Tom Brady and arguably the best quarterback of his generation,
right?
40 plus. The Drew Breeses, the Peyton Mannings, right? The Tom Bradys,
right?
Against Aaron Rodgers, who I think leads the group of 30-year-old quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
The Ben Rodgers, the Ben Roethlisbergers, the Matt Staffords, the Matt Ryans, whoever you want to throw into that conversation, Aaron Rodgers is that generation's best. Yeah. So we're actually setting up for potentially a double dip weekend. Well, with the weekend in between, because it's Super Bowl week and we had that bye week, we actually may be setting up for a double dip weekend of generation versus generation's best quarterback. Because Aaron and Tom certainly is them. And if Patrick Mahomes on the other side does what he does, then I think we're seeing the best quarterback of the 20-year-olds face off against the best quarterback of the 40s or the 30s. Oh, yeah. Either way, though, going to be a hell of a matchup. I am taking Green Bay. I am taking Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, and that decent running game that they have found, the balance that they have found, and a little bit of the defense that they've found. I'm taking them to win in Lambeau against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bears.
I'm going to be in the same boat with you. I mean, I like the Packers in this game, even though we know that Tampa Bay went up there earlier this year and beat the crap out of them. Mm-hmm. That was maybe a different week, a different situation. But this is money time. Brady's usually money when it comes to money time. Aaron Rodgers is usually money when it comes to money time. But give me the Packers at home in the cold at Lambeau Field. I think that'll be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to that. All right, so that's the NFC, which is delicious in itself. The AFC, it's funny. Baltimore Buffalo is the one that I think I was really looking forward to the most, because I really liked watching Baltimore and Lamar Jackson play. And I found myself enamored with Buffalo and Josh Allen and Diggs and Beasley and everything that they were doing. And I was excited about that game. And I would say early on, both defenses really, really stepped up and looked like this was going to be the defensive struggle of all defensive struggles.
No question about it. Now, unfortunately, I have lost faith in kickers forever after Justin Tucker, the league's greatest kicker in history
of all time,
not only found his way to hit one upright, but found his way to hit 2 uprights.
Unbelievable.
And ultimately, those kicks did matter because they could have made the game a one-possession game. Having said that, you mentioned the defense, and Buffalo and Baltimore both played exceptionally well. But I would like to say, if Baltimore had the wide Buffalo would have won the football game. Because unfortunately, as great as Lamar is and as athletic as Lamar is, he is playing a close to one-man game on the offensive side of the ball. Now, he's got a tight end in Mark Andrews who he can get the ball to.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. But
And
who do you have?
Hollywood Brown will get open too,
On occasion.
But he doesn't have
But
he
can you
doesn't
trust
have the
him to
talent.
win? Can
Yeah.
you trust him to win one-on-one situations? You can't. Didn't. They got picked in the end zone, got ran back for 100 yards, and that was the difference in the football game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not necessarily Lamar's fault. I still admit I have questions about his ability to throw the ball and be a pocket passer, but I can't answer those questions honestly if I don't give him wide receivers that are worth a damn to throw it to.
And it's funny when you watch Baltimore, I think themselves as a team and even us as fans, when we watch them, no matter what's going on in the game, you know that it's just one play like he did the week before that he's going to break one and run it 90 yards, 70 yards, 60 yards, and he's gone to the house. And guess what? Ball game over.
And it's ball game.
Yeah, and credit Buffalo for kind of containing him a little bit and not letting him run wild. But even towards the end of the game, you're like going, okay, Josh Allen hasn't looked spectacular. He was overthrown, and the wind, I get, was a factor. And
yeah,
I guess the bottom line is the center quarterback connection for Baltimore wasn't working out too well. And especially the one, I guess it was in the third quarter, when he got absolutely belted, knocked into the end zone, then went out with a concussion. And, even though he didn't come back in the game, and the backup QB had a guy wide open for a touchdown, and he overthrew him by 10 yards. It was their turn. And, I guess Baltimore had their opportunities. Like you said, the missed field goals were a killer. The touchdown that was there but was intercepted and run back 100 and something yards by that guy was an unbelievable play. And then Buffalo just put it away late when they had to. And kind of a neat story, though. The Buffalo Bills, it's been a long, long time. They're on their way to the championship.
And you know what? When their fan base does what they did, right, when Lamar Jackson got hurt and they rallied on social media to donate
How about that?
His favorite charities, I got to say, that's a fan base that I actually root for. That's a fan base that I can sit back and say, unlike, the Eagles, unlike the Steelers, unlike Patriots fans can be, you want to be gracious like that and humble and winning, I'm all for it. So the Bills got a fan in me, which is damn unfortunate and probably going to be their death sentence because now, Elf, they're up against a buzzsaw. As long as he's not concussed, and he did practice this week, so probably not going to be an issue, they're going to be up against a buzzsaw and the Kansas City Chiefs, who took out the Cleveland Browns thanks to a gutsy fourth down call by Andy
you're talking
Reid.
Balls, man. I'm talking big, gigantic, brass, hell, platinum balls, okay? I could not believe the play call. I couldn't. First of all, let's even take a step back. Mahomes goes out and Chad Henne, who's been in the league, I think, 37 years now, okay? Didn't even know he was in the league until they told me he came in the game. I'm like, oh, Henne still plays.
By the way, that's about how many millions he's made in his career, 37.
Yeah.
I think it's like 38.7.
He's the modern day Chase Daniel. Chase Daniel has just been a backup in the league forever. He never starts, but it doesn't matter. He's made a ton of money and he gets everything he wants. Anyway, I think the play that it was 3rd and 9 was the first where Henne scrambled. And he ran and it looked like he got the first down, and then they wound up being short. And then you're thinking to yourself, okay, look, there's no way they're going for this. It's 22-17. They're not going to take a chance at midfield. And not only do they make the decision to go for it, he lines him in the shotgun. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is he doing?
Well, and he clearly did enough to throw off Tony Romo because that was the freak out that we got in that moment, who couldn't believe that they had the stones. And I agree with you. It does take stones to do that. But it doesn't surprise me that Andy Reid would.
No, he's a genius.
That's the thing.
Man.
It takes balls, but it doesn't surprise me that Andy Reid would do that because he understands the probabilities there. One play and the game is over. One play. Now you punt it away and you give them an opportunity
That's exactly right.
to have the ball and have a chance. The way Baker Mayfield was throwing it, he might have taken that chance there at the
Absolutely.
end as
Yeah.
they made up the difference. So, I mean, yes, I was impressed by the call, but was I surprised by the call? I actually was not. What I was surprised by, though, Elf, and I couldn't believe it. I know the rule. I know how it's applied, okay? I said in my mind when I watched the national championship game 2 weeks ago, I said that the worst rule in sports is the automatic ejection in college football for targeting. I
Yeah.
think that is by far one of the worst rules in sports. But then I watch this football game and I get another nominee for the worst rule in sports, and that is a ball being fumbled by the offense out of the end zone being given to the defensive team. Jeff Fisher, I know you're still out there. I know you're still working on the
Yeah.
NFL
Tell
rules
him.
committee, even though you're not coaching. I know you're still hanging about. Do something about it. Fix it. Because right now it is in the running now for worst rule in sports.
So what would you have instead of the defense getting the ball? Would you say offense gets the ball, but they have to take it all the way back to the 20? You know what I
Fair. I've
mean?
heard that suggestion from numerous places,
Instead of
right?
like the offense saying, "Hey, look, it's steer your ball at the 1," you almost have to do something. It's like, "Hey, look, you fumbled it out of the end zone, but we're going to let you keep possession, but you got to take it back 10 yards or something."
Reverse touchback. A reverse touchback.
Okay, yeah,
The
at the
offense
20.
gets the ball. When
Yeah,
they kneel the ball inside their own end zone on a
I'm cool with
kickoff, they
that.
get the ball at the 25.
Right.
Well, then the offense lost the ball into the end zone. They fumbled it, right?
Yeah.
Into the end zone. They shouldn't get to keep the ball where they fumbled it. Say they fumbled it at the 2-yard line and then rolled into the end zone. No, you don't get the ball at the 2. But can you get the ball at the 25? Can we get the ball back at least? Like, the defense didn't make the play. They didn't pick the ball up. They didn't convert it. All they did was punch it out of the guy's hands.
It'll be an interesting something that maybe the rules committee takes a look at, because I know when we had the play against the Saints and the Vikings on the non-interference call, was it last year or the year before?
Mm-hmm.
You got to start taking a look at certain
push
things
off
like that.
Kyle Rudolph.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are things that you have to take a look at. But look, bottom line is Kansas City won the game. Mahomes was banged up, concussion protocol, and we'll find out. From what I understand, looks like he's probably going to be able to go. Look, you're going to have to tie him up, with handcuffs if he's not playing, because he'll be out
start
there.
the game. Now, credit the NFL for actually holding him out for getting injured.
Right.
But no question about it, he will start that football game.
So we have Tampa and Green Bay. I think that's the early 2:05 kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
And then the nightcap is Buffalo and Kansas City. Like I said, I think we both like Green Bay in the NFC Championship game. I obviously am leaning towards Kansas City. And I think, as we chatted once before, just as a football fan, even though I'm a Cowboys guy, give me Aaron Rodgers and Pat Mahomes, and I'm in good shape.
No question about it. It is, in my opinion, the best matchup we could get of the final 4 teams that are available, right?
Right.
Not only would it provide the most hype, but I think it would also provide the most fireworks. That's not a shot in any way at Josh Allen or the excitement that he brings to the table. That's not a knock against the GOAT in Tom Brady. But it is a statement of fact, in my opinion, that, and I know that's an oxymoron, that Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes would be the best matchup. Could Josh Allen make that interesting? Do I think he's ready yet? No, I don't.
Not either.
I don't quite think he's ready yet, but he could at least set himself up for a nice budding rivalry in the AFC playoffs going forward, because these are 2 teams that, because they finished first in the division together, they will face each other next year no matter what. So we will get a rematch of this delicious AFC championship game next season, no matter how it plays out. And that is only more great news for the NFL. God damn, these brilliant bastards. They set it up so good that even when it's screwy, I'm still coming back. I'm still
Oh
coming back.
man, I think it's great. But look, looking forward to both games again: Tampa, Green Bay, and then of course Buffalo and Kansas City. Um, NFL again, as much as you try to like shove everything out of the way, they somehow continue to keep themselves in the news. And to me, the craziest, I don't know what the hell's going on in Houston with the Texans. It all started with Bill O'Brien and all the crap he was doing, and then the management. This saga with Deshaun Watson is off the charts, dude.
It's hot right now. It's extremely hot. It's very volatile. It is very rash. And that's not to say that what Deshaun Watson and his camp appear to be wanting a way out. That's not to say it's not a reasonable request. Okay. I can see how looking around over the past 12 months, Deshaun Watson has felt like maybe things were heading in the right direction to now feeling like there is no hope. I've got to get off the Titanic. But this is the NFL. This isn't the NBA. Teams don't have 4 years of first-round picks to trade, and
Right.
they won't.
No.
Right? There's no scenario where that trade makes sense for an NFL football team, even if it means acquiring potentially the next franchise quarterback. In my estimation, it happens in the NBA. Guys can sit out. Guys can play the James Harden
Oh no,
game,
yeah,
right?
the
Be
NBA, the tail wags the
disgruntled,
dog in the NBA.
right? And they can take control because
Yeah.
it's a 5-man game. It's it's a 12 roster team.
Yep.
But on a football team, I'm sorry, the team in the Houston Texans will wait this out as long as they can,
And if
unless they get an offer that they cannot refuse.
and you know what? I can't even imagine there's an offer out for, because first of all, other than the guy, I mean, look, Rodgers, Mahomes, Josh Allen, there's probably a handful of other quarterbacks out there. I don't know any other guys that are as good, if not better, than Deshaun Watson. And even though you've lost to Hopkins because of a stupid trade, and J.J. Watt is very pissed off because of what's going on there, and Houston doesn't have a lot of talent around Deshaun Watson right now. You just signed a 5-year contract, Holmes, for a ton of money. And if I'm the Houston Texans, I don't give a damn who the owner is, who the coach is, who the new team chaplain is. Sorry, my man, you ain't getting traded anywhere. Okay.
Don't mention the team chaplain.
I know.
All
He's
right,
the
he's
problem,
important.
that Easterly guy.
He's important. He's important to this whole thing coming together.
Oh, my God. That is an unbelievable story. Anybody gets a chance in SI to read that story, this guy that was a team chaplain with New England and a team chaplain, and he somehow weaseled his way up the ranks into like being a GM, and now he's suck buddies with the owner's son, Cam McNair, and somehow, some way, it is the most ironic situation going on there. So, I mean, like you said, I can see how Deshaun Watson's going, he's a chaplain. I mean, how the hell is he making decisions on who gets traded and who stays?
Yeah, he's getting more calls about his opinions on the GM front, on the coaching front, than Deshaun Watson is. And that's probably where the issue lies. Again, having said all that, though, right? They will wait as long as they are able, right? Until potentially the market dries up, because they can. They can go to free agency and not take any offers on Deshaun Watson. So what do the teams that need quarterbacks do? They start making moves. They start signing free agents. They make plans for the draft about what they're going to do. So we get to April, and they dangle Deshaun Watson out again, or teams make a call, and they say, I'll give you a Tua and a first-rounder and a second-rounder. And the Texans say no, and then that team moves forward because they have to make a plan for 2021. And now we get to July, where perhaps Deshaun Watson is so upset still with the organization that he decides he's not going to practice. But guess what? No one's got anything left to trade. No one's got anything left in terms of assets to offer you for him. So now he has a choice. Is he going to sit out the football season and not take his $30 million salary? Or is he going to take his chances, get his ass back on the football field, and play the sport that he loves, play the game that he loves?
And I
If
think
I'm the Texans, I'm probably taking my chances on the ladder.
yeah, I'm look, I'm hanging on to him with everything I got. What's amazing is all the quarterback maneuvering that's be done. Just name out there that are going to probably be on different teams and looking for a job. Cam Newton, see you later. Jimmy G may not be in San Francisco. All right, we know Doug Peterson just got fired, so the Eagles need a new coach, right? Does that mean Carson Wentz is staying, or is Jalen Hurts staying, or is one of them getting traded? I mean, that's out there. Then you have Matthew Stafford, who's being rumored to be dealt by Detroit. But of course, Dan Campbell's the new head coach, so he might have something to say. Sam Darnold, the Jets are dangling him, right? They're like going, oh, wait, we'll give you Sam Darnold and like the pizza joint on Fifth Avenue for Deshaun Watson. There is a ton going on right now.
Not just in terms of players that are available that could be vying for jobs, the amount of jobs that may be needed to be filled. Just this week,
yeah,
we
Phillip Rivers
realized
says goodbye.
The New Orleans Saints and the Indianapolis Colts
those
will
are
need
two
new signal
great
callers.
jobs.
Yes. The New England Patriots and the Cam Newton saga. Don't think that worked. They got to go back to the well. I would actually like to run down a couple of these names with you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Play a little game.
Yeah, let's have some fun.
I call starter or scrub. Okay? So I've got a few of these quarterbacks that may potentially be free agents, may be available this offseason, may be finding their way with new teams. And I ask you, Elf, starter or scrub. So
can I buy a Val
this
first?
does not necessarily mean they come back to the team they were with. I'm asking you if you think they will be given the starter's job to begin the season.
All right, let's go.
Cam Newton, starter or scrub?
Oof. I think he'll start somewhere.
I think
is this on his current team or anywhere?
A team.
Okay.
Starter week 1.
I think he'll still be as much as I don't personally think he's got what he used to have. I think he showed a little bit of a cheer where somebody might go, oh, you know what? Okay, let's see what he's got. So I'm barely on starter with him.
He's one of the 32, right? And that's really the question.
Yeah. Okay.
Is he one of the 32 best quarterbacks on the planet? Because quite frankly, there aren't 32 great ones.
No.
Right?
No.
There's not 32 humans that can play the quarterback position so well that they deserve a job on a year in, year out basis.
Right,
so we move on. Starter for Cam Newton. Starter or scrub? Jimmy Garoppolo.
Scrub.
Not starting for the San Francisco 49ers to start 2021. That's what, my friend. I like it, though. I like it because I do tend to side on the scrubby-er side with him.
It's almost like he had his chances, and this was this young guy they got from the wing. I mean, this was the greatest thing in the world. He was going to be the greatest thing, and it's just not there. And it's not like I don't know. It's I haven't even seen glimpses of it, to be honest with you. So yeah, Mr. Scrub, have a seat.
He had a couple week run with Deebo Samuel when he was finding Deebo Samuel, but Deebo Samuel was hurt almost all of last season. I tend to agree. Okay. Scrub. Starter or scrub, Elf. Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts. One must be each. To start,
I know Wentz looks
season.
like he's got the yips, in football, but I think he's still a starter. I think he's still a starter. Jalen Hurts, I think, could be a starter, but I think he'll be a scrub somewhere. If they're both in Philly, I think it's Carson Wentz still, and that's only because Peterson's gone.
I think Jalen Hurts will be the starter to begin the season, and I think Carson Wentz will be the scrub. Now, I'm taking a risk here because I think the Eagles organization really want the next head coach to believe in Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think when they finally end up settling on a guy, he's going to be very clear that it's a competition out of camp, and Jalen Hurts is going to win that competition.
And Hurts,
in my opinion.
And Hurts, I thought, played better.
I did think he played better. Not only did he play better, the team played better around
Yeah,
him.
they did. They rallied
And
around him. I agree.
and that part does make a difference to me. Starter or scrub, going through some quarterbacks who could be changing teams this offseason here on Extra Crispy. Of course, brought to you by Opulence Media Group. Go ahead and follow them on Twitter at Opulence Media G. Starter or scrub with potential free agent quarterbacks, Sam Darnold.
He's a starter. I think he's going to stay in the Jets organization. I think Robert Saleh is going to realize, look, I'm going to build around him. I'm going to keep him as my starter.
Oh, I think they got too high of a draft pick. I really think they could be looking at a quarterback at that spot, and I am going to say scrub. I'm going to say scrub on Sam Darnold. Here's another interesting one for you. You mentioned his name earlier in the podcast.
Okay.
You probably wouldn't even think of him as a starter because he was not one in 2020. But I give you starter or scrub, Jameis Winston.
A scrub.
I don't like how quickly you dismissed that. I'm a little pissed. I'm a little pissed.
I think he has the ability, and he's young still. I think not only when he lost the confidence of his team in Tampa, I mean, wasn't the quarterback whisperer still there at the time? I mean, he throws the ball to the other team just too many times.
Yeah, they
And
seem
he's
fine
got
now.
He's got talent. He's got skill. But I think what we're seeing in the NFL is, as much as you'll see backup quarterbacks who you don't know who the hell they are, you're going to probably wind up seeing backup quarterbacks where you absolutely know who they are. And they're just wearing a hat backwards, just happy to be on a football team. Because like you said, there's only so many starting gigs.
Yeah.
And there's only so many backup gigs. You're just going to start seeing more backup gigs handled by a guy that we absolutely have heard of, because he wants to keep playing, Andy Dalton. I mean, they want to hang out. They want to play for another year.
I wasn't going to bother mentioning Andy Dalton because I think we'd both side scrub on that one.
Yeah.
I do have one more for you, and then we
Okay.
can move on. Kirk Cousins, starter or scrub to begin 2021?
They want him to be a scrub so bad. They want him to be a scrub. And the problem is unless they go get somebody, he's going to be the starter.
Can I tell you a team that could really use him, that might consider him if they hadn't already burned the bridge once before by calling him Kurt?
Washington?
The Washington football team.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Look, all of this quarterback stuff is great. And then in the NFL draft, you've got 6, maybe 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks could be drafted in the first round. Jacksonville's sitting with 2 picks in the first round. Jets are sitting with 2 picks in the first round. And the Dolphins are sitting with 2 picks in the first round. Dolphins got Tua, and we're already hearing rumors about them dangling him out there. And the Jets have Darnold, and you're hearing rumors about them dangling him out there. Jacksonville ain't dangling anybody because Urban Meyer's the coach, and they're going to take Trevor Lawrence, and that's it.
No question about it. It is going to be one of the wildest draft seasons we've ever seen, not just from a standpoint of the buildup, right? Because of what COVID's done and what it's done to how we're evaluating players from college, right? Not as much tape, no combine to evaluate players at. And maybe that's a good thing. No combine to get sold on players based on one athletic skill set that might not translate on the football field. But I also think it's going to lead to a massive differentiation in the way teams evaluate players. And that, hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers here on this one, leads to an exceptionally exciting draft day. Because forgive me if I'm not remembering correctly, but I don't think the last couple of drafts that we've experienced, the last 2 to 3 years, have had nearly the type of action in the first round in terms of trading, in terms of movement, that we maybe anticipated going in.
I'll tell you what I want to – now, did they cancel the draft that was going to be in Vegas this past year because
Mhm.
remember they were going to do it at the Bellagio, and they
Yep.
were going to have it out in the fountains, and literally the players were going to walk out onto where the fountains are when they got drafted. Here's what I'm saying, Roy White, is if the draft gets to Vegas, we're going. I'm just telling you right now, we are going. I'm calling my guy Eddie DiBiase. We're going to get a room. We're going to get taken care of. We'll do the damn podcast from there for 4 days in a row. I don't care. We've got to go to Vegas. I got to check my mail.
I know you know the spots, and by God, I would be more than happy to do
Would that
that.
not be so awesome?
But I am doing this podcast in my living room, and I'm afraid my wife might hear me. So keep
I'll
that down.
get you.
Keep that between us.
I'll get you
And
a note.
you and I are gonna we'll talk about that going forward.
Perfect.
Absolutely, though, Elf.
All right. Very,
Massively
very good.
excited about the draft. And hey, I mean, the NFL is a year-round. It is a year-round seller, baby.
It's
Uh,
delicious.
it's always giving us something.
All right. Now, something that I know you and I both love. Been doing a thing called Useless Baseball Nuggets for years and everything, but we both love baseball. And I've been having heart palpitations the past couple of weeks because I know my Astros and George Springer are about to say goodbye. And he officially said goodbye. And he's going to Toronto to join the Blue Jays. What is it?
Oh.
5-6 years, 150 million. But you know what? Good for him. I mean, look, he did great when he was with Houston and he was a stud. And I think he is a stud. And I think he's going to help Toronto tremendously. They got one hell of a team, let me tell you.
Oh yeah, young and loaded. I heard they sent George Springer out with a 21 trash can salute. So
Yes,
very,
yes.
very kind of the
But
Houston
you know what?
Astros
I'm going
to
to
do
raise
that.
my glass to that because those that still want to give my team shit for winning the World Series, you can stick it up
Shut
your
up.
ass.
Shut
We
up.
won the
All
World
right.
Series. There you
Whatever.
go.
I'd have my team cheat all damn day if it meant I got a World Series out of it. Like,
Listen, I can go to my
suck
grave
mine.
very happily now. We've won a World Series. That's all I cared about.
Yeah. Screw you
But
for that.
the good news is that they got Springer, and I literally heard an hour later that Toronto also got their stud Michael Brantley. That both Brantley and Springer were going to Toronto. Then I was about to throw up, and I was sick to my stomach. But what as we've learned in the media, be careful what you tweet. You remember Herman Edwards said, "Don't hit send, don't hit
And
send."
be careful who you retweet because
Absolutely.
there's a lot of fake, right? There's a Jeff Passan
Oh yeah,
with an
I've
O.
caught myself on that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
There's an Ian Rapoport. So watch out for those.
so yeah, the Astros lose Springer. And then somebody tweeted out that they lost Michael Brantley, and like 20 minutes later, the report is Brantley is signing with the Astros, 2 years, 32 million. So he's going to stay. Springer's going to go, and there's still a lot of baseball movement to happen, I'm sure. But I know your Mets are in good shape getting Lindor and Carrasco, but they got rid of that schmuck. Can you explain to me why people are tweeting their junk and stuff?
Uh, why any man would ever tweet? I mean, I tell you what, it's kind of a sad state of affairs that so many women in the media have not only come out in disgust of this story, but have actually said, "Oh, this isn't the only story." Literally, talk to any woman in the profession, and they have a tale for you.
Oh, I bet. Oh, yeah. We both know several that are in the industry, and it's. I just don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't understand.
Especially when it's not asked for. Like
Yeah.
I do understand sexting. Okay, I understand sexting. Big fan. Definitely have done it a time or two. Never sent a junk pic, right? I'm more of a, mind kind of guy. I
Right.
like to write like it's 50 Shades of Gray.
Okay.
So really get them steamy, If you give them the package right off the bat, you have nothing to build up to.
That's right.
Okay. It's a desperate play. It's a Hail Mary throw. Okay. It's not the type of decision making that I would even want from a GM candidate had I known he had done that just based on principle alone. Okay. Outside of the fact that it's deplorable, it's disgusting, he should probably be in jail for it. I would disqualify him based on that knowledge alone. That you don't have the understanding of how to deal with a female to know that an unsolicited D pick is probably not going to be received well.
Listen,
Right?
what year are we in? 2021?
Yeah.
Here's what people have to understand. 15, 20, 25 years ago, there was a thing that the guys used to say, look, all you have to do is pay cash and wear a beeper. You have nothing to worry about. You pay cash and you wear a beeper. No trail, no nothing, nada. Okay, guess what? That shit's over. Okay, no matter what you do, somebody's
Your
gonna
beeper's got a
see.
signal. It's sending that signal to somebody
Let me tell
else.
you, they're gonna get your text. They're gonna get your phone calls. They're gonna see
Yeah.
your pictures. You can't get away with it anymore. So stop trying.
It actually kind of amazes me that this hadn't come up before. But then again, it's also kind of sad that the woman who had these incidents taken out on her wound up quitting the business because she felt there was no
That's
recourse.
very unfortunate. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Speaking of unfortunate, as a little segue here, did you get a chance to catch the Tiger Woods documentaries yet?
No, but because you have gotten me so excited about it, I want you to sell me on it. Because when I first saw the preview, my initial reaction was, that's going to be smut. That's going to be smeary. That's not going to be a good look for Tiger Woods. How did it come out to you?
Okay, I mean, like I said, I'm kind of guy that, like in a movie preview or anything like that, if you get me in the preview, you got me. If you don't get me in the preview, I'm not going to the theater. I ain't watching it on TV, Netflix, Hulu. You don't have me. This had me because it's Tiger Woods. No matter, Tiger Woods alone was going to get me, but because you, myself, and many have heard all these things that Tiger Woods has gone through in his life, and many of it is just amazing, fantastic, spectacular. What he's done as a young prodigy and grown up and just took the golf game to a completely new level. That being said, I was locked in. So I don't want to give it away, but I will say this to sell you on it. The first one was more of the, oh my goodness, the accomplishments that he had that I wasn't even aware of. I mean, I'm aware of all the tournaments he won and the championship he won, but it was other things that he did along the way that I kind of was, wow. And then there was some personal things in the first one that it was, oh my. And then when there's, like I said, I don't want to give away, but there was, a lot of it is, you'll have the people.
Well, you could say it. He cheated on his wife. He rammed his
It
car
was
into a
not, it was
tree.
that, but it was the naval, it was the assistant pro at the Naval Academy that him and his father, Earl, played at, that was sitting there talking just like I'm looking in the camera, and it was a one-on-one. And the guy asks him a question, and he looks at the camera and he goes, hold on, man, I need a minute. He goes, I don't know if I can say this. And he goes, and he turns his head, he looks down, he goes, they're going to hate me if I say this. And he turns and he looks at the camera and he goes, guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to do this. And he starts talking about how Earl Woods had a Winnebago that he took to the golf course. And it was parked like right behind the green. And Tiger was like 13 and 14 years old. And he said Earl would bring women all the time into the Winnebago with alcohol, and he would have his way with them. And Tiger saw this. And he would say, and I did the same thing. We were both terrible role models for Tiger. And he saw this all the time growing up. And that was just the first, oh my. That was documentary number one. Number two gets even deeper. Yeah,
well, now you got me.
Yeah,
now you
no,
got
no,
me
I'm
feeling
telling you.
scared as a dad for what
What's
my
that?
kid sees me do on a regular basis.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you. And then like I said, I won't give it away, but how documentary 2 goes and then ends, it's beautiful how they really made it full circle, because it showed how he was with his father and what his father meant to him and what his father did for him. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the second documentary, you see his kids growing up. And I know we've both seen recently the footage of him and his son swinging golf clubs. I mean, his son looks unbelievable, right?
Looks great. Them
Looks great.
Celebrating together at his
Yes.
most recent championship win, the Masters, right, was a magical, redemptive moment.
Well, and that's where we'll leave it at that. Do yourself a flavor. get you some more brown drink like you have there, and sit down and relax. And you'll watch a couple of the documentaries. There's two parts. It was that good.
All right.
Yeah, and it was kind of the oh my, and like I said, part of you feels sorry for him, and the other part is like, nah, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, and then you go, yeah, like he kind of got his, and also got what he deserved on both fronts.
Oh,
What he
listen,
earned, and what he deserved.
he sprinkled the infield. Let's just put it that way.
Oh yeah. Speaking of sprinkling the infield, Alf, I did notice that you made a mention of a big fight we got coming up this weekend. One Conor McGregor
Yes, sir.
getting back into the octagon as really, in my estimation, one of only two fighters that I'm even interested in seeing in the UFC right now. He and the Nigerian king, Adesanya,
Oh,
I
yeah.
believe is how that name is pronounced.
Yes.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm a casual fight fan. I'm not a expert fight fan, which is why this fight, while I'm excited to see Conor back in it, it really only means anything to me because if he wins, it means we may be able to coax Habib
Right.
Nurmagomedov out of retirement and get the dream matchup we all hope for, which, was the fight that took place in 2018 where Nurmagomedov choked Conor McGregor out in the 4th round.
Right. Look, this guy is, he took, there's many fighters in MMA, UFC that have been fantastic. And that sport has been one that's taken off. You know me, I'm the biggest boxing fan in the world, and I've loved boxing and I always will. And when my father was still alive, we both remember there was that lull in the boxing game where there just wasn't a heavyweight champion anymore. And look, we could talk Ray Leonard and Duran and Spence and Crawford and the middleweights and the lightweights and the junior weight, whatever.
Yeah.
The heavyweight division is what boxing has always been all about. And once Mike Tyson went away and Evander Holyfield went away, I mean, we had two Russian heavyweight champions, the Klitschko brothers, and nobody cared.
For almost 2 decades.
Right.
Yeah.
And, so my point is that UFC became exciting for my dad and I because it filled that void that boxing didn't have while it was down. And my dad surprised me that he enjoyed UFC, and we would get together and watch the fights on pay-per-view or whatever we could. And like I said, McGregor is one of those guys that he's that lightning rod. He was kind of, I don't know. You remember how Macho Camacho in boxing kind of came into and he was just such a live wire. You either loved him or you hated him, And I think that's McGregor. McGregor, you either love the guy or you hate the guy. But he is a special kind of fighter, and he'll put his money where his mouth is, and he'll talk some shit. And but homeboy can fight, and I'm kind of excited that he's coming back Saturday night.
No question about it. I'll be watching on Saturday night. But again, just from the standpoint of I want to see him win so we can hopefully coax Nurmagomedov out of retirement and get that fantasy match. And that's so oftentimes what I feel about the fight game, not just necessarily in UFC, but in boxing as well. We're constantly waiting for the best matchup that we all know is out there, but can't be made. Right?
It's so frustrating. I'm very good friends with Derek James, who's Errol Spence Jr.'s trainer. He's also the Charlo twins. He was their trainer. They're all local here.
It up close.
I think what's so frustrating is, and I think it started with Mayweather. And as great as Mayweather was, they're worried about their record. Everybody's worried about what their record is. And back in the day, you didn't give a crap. I wanted to fight that guy. Ali wanted to fight Frazier. Frazier wanted to fight Norton. Foreman wanted to fight Ali. I mean, even Holyfield and Riddick Bowe and Tyson, they all wanted to fight each other. It didn't matter what their records were. And now these guys listen, his people and my people can't get together. Who gives a damn? He's the champion. You're the champion. Fight him. Let's go. I want Spence and Crawford in the ring. You got a lot of good young guys, but you're right, man. It's just so frustrating.
And the other part about that is, Elf, not to get too deep into the boxing game, but I'm glad you kind of mentioned it, is that if you deliver a great fight, the records no longer matter.
Thank you.
No one gave a damn that Nate Diaz had been knocked out 8 times because he put up a fucking hell of a fight when he faced off against Conor McGregor. So what do? Give us it again and give us it again.
Yeah.
So if these guys would just be willing to match up and see if their styles can give us a dynamite moment, a dynamite matchup, we'll pay again and again.
I'll give you an analogy, and I've said this a million times when it comes to college football. If you have a loss on your record, you're not going to get into the Final Four of the championship. Blah 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 blah. You and I love college hoops, okay? And the one thing I've always said is when it gets to March Madness and I get to the Final Four, I don't give a damn if Duke's lost 8 times. I don't care if North Carolina's got 4 losses. Give me 4 teams that can play and put them in the Final Four, and I'm fine because I know I'm going to get some serious action. Just like you said with Nate Diaz and certain guys, it doesn't matter how many losses they have. They're going to put up a fight. They're going to put up a war. And that's what I want to see. Give me action. Give me drama.
Well, and maybe that's what's missing is the heart that it takes, Elf.
Yeah.
You gotta bring that heart.
Right
it's
there.
more than just the physicality, Anthony Joshua. You got to have the heart too, son.
Oh, my goodness. That is crazy stuff right there. Oh, by the way, news from March Madness. I think they've set the dates, and I think we've been there actually for the Super Bowl, right? Indianapolis is going to basically say, okay, we're doing everything. We're going to host the Final Four, and we're going to host all the games in the tournament, I guess, sprinkled around Indianapolis. That should be interesting, but at least they've come up with an idea to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, interesting in the sense that, yes, they're all being played in close proximity. Will the scheduling be affected by that? Is it a good idea to have 64 teams from around the country in the same area? Yes, it's a bubble, but it is also potentially exposing teams who like to sit in and watch other teams play. Is there going to be a restriction from that standpoint? I'm not sure. Whether it's a good idea or not, I don't know. I am happy that they will be having a March Madness.
Yes.
So I'll leave it at that. I'm happy that they're having a tournament, and however they're getting it done, I guess I just have to suck it up and grit my teeth and bear it for that.
Oh, my gosh. All right, so we've got NFL Championship Weekend coming up, as we talked about. Tampa and Green Bay, the early game, and then Buffalo and Kansas City, the late game. I know for years, I've joked about it. Someday I'm going to get one made because people think I have one because I bring it up all the time. When it's a big weekend in sports, I always tell people, just put the sign out in their front yard and it says, please go away. I'm watching football. That's it. Go away. I'm watching sports. So we're going to be watching sports this weekend, Roy White.
Amen.
But we're also, you and I likes to eat, all right? There's certain things we like to eat. So if Roy White is setting up the buffet for himself, not for anybody else, what are you setting up for yourself for football weekend or football day? You got 2 games. Nobody can bother you. You got your beverage of choice, and what you munching on, brother?
Now, I don't have the culinary skills that you do, Elf, which means I'm going to put my air fryer to work. I'm going to put my air fryer to work on the buffalo wings, right? It's pretty standard. I know that's going to sound real simple.
No.
I'm going to get a little bit of celery sticks out. Took my
blue cheese or ranch?
I am a blue cheese guy.
Thank you.
I like the blue cheese.
Okay.
I think it offers, and I didn't used to, but I think the blue cheese offers a better complement to the heat. It can kind of cool it off a little bit. Of course, you don't want to be getting too close to anybody eating too much blue cheese, but I don't have to worry about that because I prefer people not to get close to me while I'm watching my football.
But you know what's great about the blue cheese? You don't want to admit this, but we do it. It's balancing the chunk of blue cheese on the wing when you dip it in.
Oh, yeah.
And you get that nice chunk of blue cheese, and you want to make sure you balance it so you can get it right in the mouth.
Yeah, give me that chunk. Give it right here, right in this area, right around here. And I'll probably go extra fried with it, Elf, and because I'm real poor and cheap, I'll go with some mozzarella sticks to round it off. That'll allow me to utilize the ranch dressing that we wanted. And boom, I'm set. It's quick. It's easy. It's very, very cheap and boring, but it's my go-to.
But it's
I would
good,
eat
right?
that for
Yeah.
every Sunday that I could.
I'm okay. So me, I'm gonna go. I like to get the on the border chips that you get in a bag at a grocery
Mm-hmm.
store because you get the full triangle. Because when you have the chips that you're making nachos with, I need the full and if they have the bubbles on the chips, that's when you know it's a good chip. But I don't like liquid cheese. Give me cheddar, shredded cheddar, and I sprinkle it on. I put it all chips on a baking sheet, and then
Big shred or little?
whatever. It doesn't matter. The big, the little, just cheese my ass off. Okay,
Okay.
but I'm gonna melt the cheese on the chips in the oven, and then I gotta have a little, kind of on the border hot sauce and maybe a little guacamole. I
Oh, yeah.
can't do the spice anymore. See, this is what happens when you get a little older. You try to stay away from that stuff. So I'm going to do my nachos, but I'm a rib guy. Okay. So I've
Yes,
learned to
you are.
take my ribs and I'll grill them on the grill. I char them. But my little tip here, besides, brown sugar and all the seasoning on the rub, Dr. Pepper. Soak them in Dr. Pepper. And then you grill them. And then once you take them off the grill, you just char them on each side and take them off. Put them in the oven on heavy foil and wrap it on low.
Ooh.
And then you take it out for about 2 hours on like 2.25. It's like butter. It's ridiculous. So just tell me when you're ready. I'll make one for you and the guys.
Yeah, you know
Okay.
what? Forget the buffalo wings. Forget the cheese sticks. That I got from Costco. I'm just gonna come over to your house and steal
You
your
know
shit.
what? Deal.
Sound good?
Deal. Easy. Yeah. I'll make the food. You bring your brown stuff.
Well, it's gonna be a hell of a weekend, Elf. I got plenty of that, even though I am running out here. But I'll have plenty of that, and I will have plenty of that ready to go for, the final great weekend before the Super Bowl comes around. And let's be honest, the Super Bowl is as much about the game as it is about not the game.
Right. It's the lead up. It's all the activities. It's the parties. Now, granted, it's going to be different this year. My friend Howard does the Super Bowl party every year.
Yeah,
He's
they're
been
in
doing it for
Florida.
like
Now they're doing it
17
down in
years.
Tampa.
Yeah, and he told me this is just between you and I, okay?
Yeah, don't
He
tell.
said
Stop listening.
there's going
Take
to be
your
a
earbuds
very
out, folks.
light halftime show this year, all virtual.
Yeah, they won't be in the stadium.
Yeah, he said it's a whole different ball game, but he said it's still going to be some owners' parties down there. He's just getting them set up. I said, "Have you seen the yacht yet?"
Yeah,
Because Jerry will have that yacht pulled up.
yeah. If he could get a ticket into the yacht, do that.
Then I need
And
to get
then,
then I got to get a phone call, and you and I got to get on a plane or
but
something.
yeah, then we got another plane to catch,
That's
right? We'll do
exactly right.
that for the Super Bowl, and then we're gonna get to Vegas for the draft.
Well, listen, as always, good doing what we get to do here, inviting the masses. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at IML. If you can follow Roy at RW3 and our Extra Crispy podcast, which is brought to you by Opulence Media Group. We have a Twitter that we'd like you to follow as well. It is Extra Crispy Pod. It's at Extra Crispy Pod. That's our new Twitter handle.
Once a week, we'll be having fresh content for you. Check it out every Friday. We'll be tweeting it out on our individual handles as well. Again, for those of you that have stuck with us, for those of you that are familiar with Elf or I, or you're just being introduced to us for the first time, thank you so much for giving us a listen. And, from the bottom of my heart, I know Elf agrees. We intend to bring you the very best content that we are capable of. So thank you for giving us a shot, and thank you for riding with us.
We do appreciate it, and we just want you to come along on this journey with us. It's going to be fun. It's going to be spectacular. We're going to enjoy ourselves. We want you to enjoy it with us, and we're going to do it every week for you. And until then, I'm Mark Elfenbein.
I'm Roy White.
Mark
And if we're
Elfenbein.
Yeah, that's a good way to end it. I'm Mark Elfenbein. I'm Roy White. And if we're going to do a podcast, there's only one way we're going to do it. How's that, Elf?
Extra, extra, extra crispy.
See ya.
See you later.